I have 3 strike rules. So, for example, if there's 3 strikes, I'm never coming back again. So I went to this place. I went to this. I asked my neighbor. I'm like, hey, what do you think? I'm like, because I love Cajun food, and I asked my neighbor. I'm like, hey, I'm like, what is the best Cajun restaurant in town, or the best seafood restaurant in town? She told me this place, and I'm like, I'm not gonna say their name because I'm never gonna return there again. So I went there, and I'm looking at the name, and I'm like, okay. And I get in there, and it's ran by a bunch of foreigners, which it just doesn't add up. It's like, okay, for people that are cooking this food, why are you here? You know, so it's a total oxymoron on who the chef is versus what the output is. So I'm getting there, I'm looking there, and I'm like, okay. And then the other thing that you notice, this is how you this is a cardinal rule that you have that is a poorly managed establishment is when you walk into an establishment and there's this shit everywhere, like papers everywhere, like with all these fucking rules and amended rules and this, that, and the other. If you see like 9 of those all over the fucking door, how could you physically process this shit? Okay. If I'm driving a car and, I'm driving a car on the freeway and I'm looking at, a billboard, you want to keep your billboard as simplistic as possible so I can process what's going on and I can disseminate what's going on. And I'm like, okay, so and so is an attorney and he looks kind of cool. If I get hit, I'm going to, if I get hit, we must acquit or whatever, whatever catchy slogan it is you got going on, right? But when you walk into an establishment, you have 9 of these on the fucking glass and you have like altered menus with line items and all this bullshit going on. It's all convoluted. That means you are poorly fucking managed. Poorly managed, So this is the first thing that I see when I walk into the door. So I'm seeing all these fucking hieroglyphics all over the fucking glass and I'm like, okay. So I'm like, all right, well, my neighbor said this place was great, so let me give this a try. So I go in there and I ask, I'm like, hey guys, what do you got? And so I order some catfish and some boudin balls and what I ordered catfish, boudin balls, and some French fries. Just simple. The thing is, I'm not big on fried food. I don't like fried food. I'm just too fucking old, and it just gives me like horrible indigestion. So I always try to go pan-seared, baked, grilled. Preferably grilled anything. Because I'm too fucking old for fried food. It gives me goddamn diarrhea. So I order my food, and so I sit down at the table, and the first thing that I notice is this shit. You're sitting on the table and there's a film on the table. I fucking hate that, bro. What that means is there's so much grease in the air that it's all over the table and it's all over the chairs. And number one, they didn't clean it. Okay. The first thing that a customer notices when they sit down is the fucking table goddamn clean? The table and the floor. Is the debris on the floor? Is the table clean? First thing I notice. Okay. The second thing that happened was I sit there and I order my food. I'm like, hey guys, can I get a cup of ice? Oh, we don't have ice. So we don't have ice. So they give me this. So they give me a soda. I'm like, okay, you'd think that it's fucking cold, right? Wrong. The motherfucker's lukewarm. So you give me this lukewarm fucking soda, okay, and you can't enjoy it. So like my girlfriend gets super fucking angry at me whenever she comes over here. She literally empties out my refrigerator because I shout out to Diet Dr. Pepper. Whenever she comes over here, I literally have like 5 or 6 of these things in my refrigerator and they're half drinking. And the reason why is because they have to be cold. Okay. As soon as it's not cold anymore, I throw it out or I put it in the refrigerator and I rechill it. So even my coffee's on ice. Yeah. Everything that I have to drink has to be freezing cold or I don't like it. I don't like beer, and if I'm drinking soda, it has to be almost frozen. That's just the way I am. I don't give a fuck. But at the end of the day, the customer's always right. So I'm asking the guy, hey man, you got any ice? They're like, no, we don't have any cups. We don't have any ice. Here you go. And I'm just like, really, dude? So strike 2, and hold on. I wrote this shit down. Yeah. Sticky chairs, no ice cups, hot drinks. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Here's the kicker. So I'm watching, there's like 2 other patrons in there and I'm sitting there and I'm watching, Family Feud. So, I'm watching Family Feud and, right. All all right. So we're watching the Family Feud, and I finally get my fucking food. Right, I finally get my food. So I'm sitting down, and I'm like, all right, I get my food, and I'm eating, and I'm like, okay. And the food is actually pretty decent, and watching the show, and everything's good and everything's cool, and I get full, and before I'm starting to close up my the fucking styrofoam or whatever. I took a bite out of a boudin ball, and the first thing I noticed, fucking flies in my food, dude, like a gnat, like a big one with the wings and everything, and I'm like, all right, bro, I'm like, no, nope, 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 we're done, finite forever, no more, no mas, that's it. And so I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm like, I've really tried. The place is fucking nasty. There's shit on the floor. They gave me a hot drink, and there's flies in my food. And I'm like, you know what, dude? This will be the last time I fucking ever come to this establishment. And it's interesting. It's like, I tried. I tried to give these people a chance, and it's and it's difficult. It's like, I don't know if you're cutting. But the thing is, like I'm telling you before, you have all this shit everywhere. So I'm sitting down, I'm looking at all the fucking, so not that I tell you when I walked in, there's the signs all over the glass, there's signs all over the wall, talking about check your food before you leave. It's your responsibility to check your food before you leave. Like, no, bitch, you cooked my food. So it's like, if I'm the only customer here, how do you fuck this up? So it's just like, you know what? And this is not the first time this has happened to me. And it's like, this is kind of like why, like most mom and pops I don't go to, I don't go to a lot of mom and pops, I try. I try to support local business and this, that, and the other, but it's like, this is the reason why I don't,